Hello, everybody. Welcome to our third live. And today we are going to be talking about breaking up with food addictions. And I'm just going to, I wanted to set a topic, but I think that I have passed that stage now. And I'm just going to wait for Kartika to join. And please feel free to type your question in the little video box which you may be seeing at the bottom of your screen. And until Kartika joins, I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. And then she and I will take it together from there. So we had promised 4 series in January. And these are to do with in reinventing your body and getting back into shape in 2023. I hope that you have found this series useful so far. And today I'm very excited to bring this incredibly interesting topic of food addictions. So is there anybody who feels that they are addicted to food? Anybody who thinks that there are any particular things that they may be addicted to? It could be a sweet addiction, a fried addiction, or it could be a particular thing like chocolate or namkeens or chips or something like that. So if there's anything like that, you can use that as an example as we speak about food addictions. And again, I'm waiting for Kartika to join. And I remember I had called her somehow last time, and now I can't remember how I did that while I'm speaking to you. Fast food addiction. Hello, Dave. You mentioned fast food addiction. So is there any particular food that you are addicted to? Or is it just general fast food addiction? And somebody has said, how can I reduce belly fat? Ravina, hi. Actually, there is this whole thing of spot reduction is a myth. There is no such thing as spot reduction. If you want to lose belly fat, you will have to just do an overall detox. I remember that when I did my detox journey, the last thing to go inside was my belly. I'm sorry to share that with you. But sometimes it's the last thing that will go away. So you would need to do an overall detox. And then as you shed weight all over, which really means also shedding toxicity, then your belly would also go in once you start shedding. It's all part of the whole thing. So I'm just calling Kartika on the other line, making sure that she... Hey Kartika, you joining the live? I'm waiting for you. Oops. She picked, didn't say anything. I hope that means she's joining. Come on the live.
I'm already there on your live.
You are? I'm not seeing you.
I sent in a request, you have to accept it.
Okay, I'm not seeing it. Let me look for you and send you a request. How I do that, I don't know. Hey Kartika, can you please send me a request again if you can hear me, because I cannot see your request. And, there. I see that you waved and you've joined. So, go live with it. Request. And okay, so fast food addiction, you didn't say, just general fast food. Okay.
I'm on.
Hey,
Yes.
good to have you.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Sweet. This thing is working now on iPhone.
Well, it was working then also, but in the recording, people could not hear the sound. So we'll see if the
Perfect.
And
Good.
Great.
Good
So
to
good to have you here. So I've just introduced the topic and I've reminded them that this is the 3rd week. That's how much we've covered so far. And some people were speaking about addiction to fast food in general, and somebody asked a question about belly fat, so I answered that. So the first question today for you, Kartika, is
Well,
food an addiction?
of
What do
course,
you
it
think?
is. It is an addiction. And in so many different ways, what we even call food is not food. For example, is sugar food? Are you addicted to sugar? Is salt food? Are we addicted to salt? And is cooked food food? Or is it something that's burnt? Because no animal in the nature eats cooked food other than us. And what are the chemical reactions that happen in the body when we consume food that is completely disorganized from its original state? Does that cause addiction? So that those are the questions that we should ponder. What would you say, Nandini?
Yeah, I definitely think it is an addiction, but it is different in the sense it's a socially
Yes.
sanctioned addiction. Like, for example, the other addictions like drinking or smoking is something that everybody knows that this is not good for me or is not good for the person. And anybody who tries to get someone to quit smoking or drinking will be supported by society that yes, they should not drink. You should stop your husband from smoking or your wife from drinking, and definitely send them to rehab and blah blah blah. But if we try to stop someone from eating food, and especially food they love,
Yeah.
which may be bad for them, for example, if my niece is addicted to chocolate and I try to stop her from eating chocolate, I don't get the same reaction from society. They think I'm an evil aunt for telling my niece not to eat too much chocolate or not to order in too much and not to go on eating junk every single day, you know. And I'm considered an evil aunt for doing that. And people say, she's a child, let her enjoy her life. Why are you after her? So, and similarly, other people who may be addicted to eating pasta or pizza or samosa or sweets or something will say, "Oh, why aren't you eating with us? Join us." And I often get a sense that it's like a lot of drunkards telling their friend, or the one teetotaler, "Why don't you join us? Why don't you join us?" But in the case of alcohol, it's very clear that alcohol is not healthy for us and can damage our liver and so on. There's a lot of awareness about it. But about food and addictive food, and as you rightly said, is it even food? And is it addictive because it's cooked? Because it's actually not good for us. And that's why it probably works in the same way that alcohol does or that cigarettes do, because it bypasses certain neural functions that are in place. Like, for example, I was just having a call with my group a few minutes ago, and we were talking about how when we are hungry and we eat fruit, for example, we can stop after we are full. So suppose we eat 4 bananas and then we don't feel like eating anymore. There is no compulsion to eat a fifth banana. But if we are hungry and we reach out for chips or chocolate or something like that, we can go on eating till the bag
Yes.
is empty. We can go on eating samosas way past the fullness signal, because the way this food works, it actually bypasses the natural systems of the body. They actually hack it. That's why, this whole notion of portion control, somebody was asking me, how do I do portion control? I would say it's almost impossible to do portion control if you are an overeater, if you are a habitual overeater like I was. It's even today, it's impossible for me to do portion control on cooked food, because the salt just overrides the natural satiety signals. I don't know, what are your thoughts
Well,
on
I
this,
would
Kartika?
say, of course, yes. And it's a very alarming thing in society that, our society, every time you want to make a good decision with about food, it actually goes against our normal ways of being. For example, if a mother is not giving laddus to the child, probably it would be seen in a very bad manner, and she herself would feel very guilty of not making puris and bhajis and all these fried foods. If on the festival it's not there, and we are celebrating with something which is super healthy like rakhi, and you're getting in a lot of fruits, that would be seen, looked down upon. Are you not rich? Are you okay? Mostly, it's something super unusual. Why are you making?
Or are you not put in the effort to prepare and cook
Yeah,
food for your
yes,
family?
exactly. It's like really looked down upon, and what we really normalized is having a very complex system of eating, and making food a source of um, addiction, as the topic suggests even right now. So if we go to marriage parties, then we have like this exhibition of food. Instead of like treating it as something that serves our body, we use it as something to show off our wealth. And also we offer small little children Coca-Cola, and then we will offer ice creams, and all of what is that? It's drugs. It's not food, right?
Mm.
So definitely.
And then they tease, and then we are, saying, oh, my teenager doesn't eat any vegetables and fruits, and but who
Yeah,
hooked them in the first place? Who introduced pizza? Who let them order it? Who gave them their first sip of
yeah,
Coke?
yeah.
Or their ice cream?
Actually, growing up in our family, I think the traditions were very different before. And growing up in our family, we were not allowed to have processed food in the house. So that was a really beautiful thing, that I never grew up in a space where I was provided with namkeens or with chocolates or chips once in a while, some, special occasion. And that's also very interesting that on a special occasion, we choose to destroy ourselves instead of being like, let's, because ancient traditions were very different. We were fasting on festivals, and we were like, yes, there is a Navratra festival happening, so we would, but now it's a party, and we would eat like some, yeah,
It's every fast food, junk food outlet in India is
yeah,
offering
yeah,
Navratri
yeah,
thalis.
exactly. So,
So it's nothing. There's no
yeah,
fasting anymore. There's only junk food
yeah, people
feasting all the
fry
time.
the food and then they will eat pakoras. And so it's
And they make everything, all the namkeens and the chips and all of that with sendha namak, and suddenly it's food for fasting. I mean, how exactly are
we
you
just
fasting?
definitely need to these reality checks for sure. There will be sabudane ki pakodi, sabudane ki kheer, and everything is allowed, which is the time for cleaning the body. Probably initially people were doing water fasting, and then they came to fruit fasting, and then they're like, okay, let's have a different kind of salt and a different kind of fried food. Like we can have potatoes, we cannot have anaj and grains. So that's super duper interesting, and it it does destabilize our responses, because it's not something that is meant to be put in the body, and the body just gets confused, so it doesn't know what to do. And so we definitely overeat. Though I have a different experience with fruit as well. Sometimes, because of my past eating patterns, I do overeat on fruit as well. That's a different thing, that it digests really fast, and it doesn't keep me in a state of like unease for a long time. But I have seen myself emotionally eating even on fruits. So, um,
But the
yeah,
good, they don't cause harm like
for
the other
sure,
food
for sure.
does.
Especially if it's a
Yeah.
watermelon or something, it's like super easy. You're in 5 minutes, you're like, okay, I'm out of that feeling. But different people are on different stages, and if I had to share my experience, I am definitely working on this, wherein I stop. When before I'm over full, and it has happened to me because I was used to a lot of density, and that a density I don't get, so I try to fulfill that density with eating a lot of fruit, which is, I think, a good transition process. If anyone else is, looking to have breakfast as fruit and they overeat on it, it's cool. It's so much better than eating something that is really bad for you and what you're addicted to, rather than eating fruit, which is a new. It's actually the transition process where you eat as much as you want, like really satiate yourself to the space that your nutritional needs are met, your carbohydrate needs are met, and then you don't crave for other things. So as we were talking about addiction, and someone is feeling addicted and they want to, have a meal which can be so satiating and so full that you just don't feel like eating anything else, I have one idea, which is bananas and dates. If you blend in banana and dates and you eat a lot of it, you will not feel like eating anything else because you're so full and you're so high.
I like that when I sometimes, in this cold weather, when I sometimes got cravings for cooked food, I would do that. I would just force myself to have a 4 banana smoothie, and then that craving would just fade away because the hunger would go, and then that thought is not coming into my mind that I need to eat something. I need to, oh,
Mhm.
shall I eat some cooked food. So that's a good tip to just blend some bananas and have them, and that
Yes,
will
that
generally help.
those are really, really heavy. What are the other? I have some more tricks and tips to share for the bananas, like meals that people can have if they are feeling um, super craved for eating something that is addictive.
Good. Hear that. And I just want to say one thing. If anybody has a question, there is a little question box at the bottom of the screen. Please put your question there, because otherwise the comments just scroll and we might
Yes.
miss it. Go ahead, Kartika.
So I was just going through the questions that we have also. Yeah. So other tips, the other thing that I use for salt is I would eat spirulina. That is actually now that I eat, I don't crave for salt anymore, but I still eat spirulina. And I would say I don't feel so good on it. And if I overeat, I have like, indigestion. So which kind of suggests that again, like in the hierarchy of what is really meant for our body, fruits are on top, because if you overeat fruits, you will very rarely find that you're indigested or you're like having some very strange feelings inside of yourself. But if you overeat probably greens, nuts, or spirulina as well, you would definitely have some unease in the body. And that is a very good reflection of what is exactly meant for us to be eaten. So if people do fast and they break the fast with coconut, nuts, seeds, or with, some cooked food, they will always have uneasiness. But why is it that we always break the fast with fruits? Because then our body is completely pure and very, doesn't have mucus. And that is a very good reflection. We can eat all day long and we won't feel bad. But if we eat things that are not meant for our body, they will be addictive. And if we eat, like for example, just have a day of nuts, you will feel like you will not feel good. Just have a full day of only greens. You will not have energy. Just have a full day of only cooked food that most of us are doing, and we don't have energy, right? We're inflamed. All of us are inflamed, and we don't see it. So that is a very good marker of what is it that can be addictive and harmful for our body, to see that what is it that you can eat when your body is fasting, and after that you can break the fast with it. What is it that you can have like full meals of and not feel uneasy? So these are good markers for that. And as I was talking about, I kind of digressed a little bit, but I was talking about how what are the foods that I eat to curb my cravings. So for salt, I use cucumbers, and I would eat like bland food, put lemon in my salad, and that is and eat a lot of whatever I'm eating, and that kind of helps me a lot with my cravings. I also like to play around with food, so like make it beautiful. I will have like a smoothie bowl and put like some fruits on top, make sure I mix the things that I really like to eat. um just making sure it's a pleasurable activity and not constraining myself too much. So if I have my own boundaries that okay, cooked food is a complete no, but sure, like once in a while I could have a little bit of a nut, have a little bit of a green when I am like, okay, I'm too bored. I need some flavor, a different bland flavor in my life. So, what are your sharings, Nandini? How are you managing your, addictions? Yeah,
Um, it's a
yeah,
journey for me. Um, just sharing that many years ago, how I used to be addicted to chocolate, and now it's not
yeah,
even a food for me. Like somebody could be eating chocolate next to me, and I have zero desire. And it's also partly because of the fact that I discovered that after some time, I
yeah.
couldn't sleep if I had chocolate. So that made it stronger because for me, chocolate is not just something that is an experience that happens on my tongue. I have connected it to the fact that, okay, if I have this piece, I will have a restless night and I
Mm,
don't want to have it. So I mean, some things fall off like that. Some things are harder, and I'm working on some of them as well myself. Some things have fallen off. One of the things is that most of the cooked food outside has become not so palatable because I went off salt. So now, if I taste anything that, let's say, I went out with a friend yesterday and he was having something and he said, "Why don't you taste it?" And I tasted like a drop of it and it was too salty for me. And I said, I'm not going to share this with you. It's too salty for me. So that has really helped. But then there are certain things that get stuck in my mind. Like, for example, dosa is stuck in my mind. I don't know from where. And I'm trying to work my way through that addiction. I know that it's just an addiction because actually I've never been that fond of dosas. Even when I was eating cooked food, I was not craving for dosas or running to eat dosa every week or anything like that.
mm,
But these things have no
yeah,
logic. They come out of nowhere. you know when I was doing my fruit feasting, I was traveling in southern India, and I think
mm,
maybe it's because of that. But I'm working through it. Sometimes I give in, sometimes I find alternates, and sometimes I just wait and it goes away. So and sometimes I just work at it, like I worked on chocolate, and eventually my body makes a connection that this is not food. So there are very few things actually that are left now. Most of the things are gone, and I'm able to be quite satisfied and satiated, and I feel so good on fruit. So I'm just trying to keep reminding myself, my body, very gently to focus on the positive. Like when the cravings hit, I just remind myself how good I feel on fruit, how light I feel, how energetic I feel, how I can climb the stairs so easily, how I can, get up and go for a walk right after eating. So I'm just trying to focus on all the good sensations and all the healthful sensations that I feel when I eat mostly fruit and raw food. So that's another way that I do it. I wanted to also ask you, what do you think exactly is an addiction? What exactly is an addiction, if we
well,
have to
I
understand?
usually look at things very spiritually. Like my everything definition of everything would come from a space of like, what is happening within us. So I think we get addicted to things when we have, okay, this is also um, influence from Gabor Mate, who's basically trauma and addiction release coach, and how it basically addiction works in the body is there is a trauma in us from our childhood. And what is trauma? Trauma is not an incident, it's basically how you react to the incident. So when we react in a when we know how to give a loving space to ourselves after a shocking incident, or just finding a loving space within someone else, like touch and seen, then we don't have a trauma. But if we didn't know how to react and how to integrate a very shocking incident, what happens is that we are not able to let go of it, and we kind of have an impression within our subconscious mind of that incident, and we are carrying that energy and the way we reacted to it for a really long time, and it's not in a space of love. And as a result of that, what we try to do is we try to relieve ourselves of that uneasy feeling by fulfilling ourselves something from outside that is self-harming and giving a short-term state of pleasure. And this is addiction, and then we continuously are repeating that pattern because we haven't find that state of comfort and love and ease, and it's still sitting in our body and in our subconscious mind. So that is basically that, repetition of not releasing that way of thinking. And when we can come to terms with that incident and understanding and seeing that incident in a different way and having a different relationship to that incident, because everything that bad that happens to us, so called bad, is actually our biggest gift. It is our gift. There's always a gift and a blessing in every shadow that we face. So once we learn how to come to terms with it in a loving space, like we give love to that incident, have a different point of view, and continuously able to release that pattern in our brains. There's like pattern that is formed of functioning, which are our habits. um, when we're able to release that, then we also release the pattern. And these patterns are also in our gut. We crave for what we are made of. So when we continuously eat something in a certain way for a long time, we have those gut microbiome in our system. Our cells are programmed to that eating habit. So we have to break out of that for a certain period of time. And usually it's like 21 days. That is a very good time to work on one kind of addiction, and like reprogramming the mind, of course, changing the food as well, and having a lot of community support. I think the most important thing for breaking an addiction is connection within ourselves, with ourselves, our authentic self, with nature, and with others. So yeah, you just asked me the question that what is addiction, but I also came to the point that how is it that you release it, because it's so interconnected. But what would you say is addiction?
I think addiction is anything that we feel we
Yeah,
can't do without.
amazing.
And also which at certain point becomes obsessive, and it kind of hijacks your mind that you don't want to think about it, you're doing something else, which is making you happy, but then this thought comes and says, I want that, I want that. It could be to a relationship, it could be to food, it could be to sex, it could be to money, it could be to anything, but it's disturbing us in the moment that we are happy doing something, and it's disturbing us and becomes a cause for some sort of stress, and that we need to do it, otherwise we are not happy. So it makes our happiness also conditional, and it just hijacks the mind, and our thoughts are not in our control anymore. I think that is my like first hand
Yeah, definitely.
understanding
Def-
of
yeah.
you know there was a relationship that I was in that I knew was not good for me, and there was something that this person did that was very dear to me, and I craved that when I knew that I had to break it. But I craved that, and I continued in that relationship because I craved that feeling. And eventually I realized that he was bad for me, like junk food was bad for me. So I told myself repeatedly to break that craving, that hello, he's like the junk food of relationships. You cannot crave that which is giving you some short term gratification and pleasure, but in the long term is not good for you. So I realized that food is also similar. I mean, any craving, any addiction, any craving is like that. It just hijacks you, and maybe it gives you some momentary pleasure. And in the search for that, you're actually willing to cause yourself long-term harm. If you look at, drug addicts, for example, or alcohol addicts, or cigarette addicts, or junk food addicts, we are doing the same thing. Just for some short-term, momentary, perceived artificial pleasure, we are actually jeopardizing our long-term mental health or physical health or
Yes,
emotional
yes.
health. That,
I
so, what are the addictive? Sorry, did you
Yeah,
want to say something?
I was just saying that I think this kind of self-destructive behavior comes from this deeper space of not feeling that we are enough and that we wouldn't be complete in ourselves, and that, we need something outside of us to complete us and to fulfill us. And once we start finding all our true, pleasures from within of us, from things that we do, and like this inner space, that is the journey of being de-addicted of everything. And uh, till the time we have realized and completely, experienced this power within us, that everything's come from here, comes from inside, even if I fill my mouth of so much, food, it's like it will not fulfill me entirely, because what I'm looking for is fulfillment from within, that connection, that alignment, that I'm connected with the source energy, or just like uh, uh, space of feeling like peace and calm, which doesn't, it cannot come from outside, so I think that is the root.
And some, sorry, sometimes I think you're absolutely right. So I'm just adding to that. Sometimes we also it's
Yeah,
also used as a distraction strategy. We may have some trauma, or we may have some pain, or we may have some grief, and we don't want to face it. And we'd rather eat chocolate or drink some alcohol and
yeah,
try and
and
drown
that
it.
is what
So
is addiction.
we use it to distract.
That is what
Sorry.
is addiction, when we are basically distracting ourselves from something that is painful. You just like said the same thing that I was talking about, which is there's a trauma which we don't know how to deal with. And if we don't know how to deal with, we're just using a short-term pleasure to feel better, and which is fine. Like
Yeah.
the most important thing is to understand that you're trying to help yourself with that thing, and to be able to hold yourself in that space, that all you're trying, you didn't know how to handle it. So what you were trying to do in the first place is just to feel ease and comfort. And that is amazing, because you're trying to help yourself. You just don't know how to help yourself in a better way. And I think the better way to help yourself is basically loving yourself and finding that connection within yourself through other things that nourish you, and also finding that connection with others, and through activities, that nourish you, instead of self-destructive patterns, things that harm us. So just finding that, differentiation. But go ahead, you were asking a question.
Yeah, no, I lost the question. So the next question we can consider, and there are some questions from audience as well, which I'll have a look at in a second. What are the most common addictive foods that you help your clients with?
Wow.
What comes up?
I think tea with milk is the top on the list. It's like I tell people,
Okay.
okay, there's gonna be some difference in the diet, and they're like, can I just have my tea with milk? That's the only thing that I can't leave. And I'm like, okay, let's try to substitute it with, another milk. Hmm, that doesn't taste the same, but I'll try. So I think
Yeah,
coffee.
coffee are
Coffee as
the
well,
biggest
yeah. But
addictions.
actually, I've found a lot of hope in
Uh,
humanity, when people come and they just like, yeah, yeah, okay, I will leave it. Even like my clients who are like super old, they'll be like, no, I can do it. And so it's actually a lot in the mind. And people are ready. I really feel people are ready. Who's ready is ready. They'll be like, I'll give.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there was this lady who joined my 3-day fruit challenge, and
yeah,
she
yeah,
quit tea and
right?
coffee.
People do.
It was something I them that they should, but it just happened automatically, and she said, I'm so happy that I'm free of tea and coffee addiction, which I had for
Yeah,
40
yeah,
years or whatever. So yeah, it's
yeah.
not that hard. It's
Few
just a matter of
days. Yeah,
making a
few
decision.
days. And then
Few
next,
days.
next would be salt. Oh my God,
Yeah, salt is
very
huge.
huge.
I was a salt
Yeah,
addict as well. I never thought I could quit salt in 100 years. I never thought I
kudos,
could do
man.
it.
You did it. Congratulations.
It- uh, yeah, I know. It's incredible. I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm completely out of it. In the sense, I'm out of salt, but
Yeah,
I still want savory. I still want food. Like fruit is like sweet, 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 sweet. And I was never a sweet,
sweet tooth.
you know, somebody who. Well, I never had a sweet tooth even earlier. I always wanted something salty. So that has a little bit of fragments are still
Yeah,
left, and I'm working through them. I do, but I I don't need salt. I can do with sun-dried tomatoes or something like that. But I still
yeah,
want savory at times. Yeah, salt is a huge, huge addiction. If you can break that, like because I knew that this was like one of those key things. If I can break this, the whole house of cards can crumble. And this is what has started to happen, like the example with my friend, then his food was too salty for me, is because I broke the salt habit. And now the cooked food habit is unraveling, because cooked food is nothing without salt, without spices, without
yeah,
oil, without heat.
yeah.
It's nothing. It's edible food, which is made edible by processing it through heat, by adding oil, by adding salt, by adding sugar, by adding spices. It's all inedible food that is transformed into something edible. We are actually fooling
Yeah,
our
I
senses.
completely agree. I completely agree. And I think next addictions would be breads. I think people really like to eat breads.
Yeah,
This is something that I feel in my, process. I yeah,
I,
and sugar, not so much actually. People get off sugar very easy. They crave for it a lot, but it's super. I have seen it's like 1 month you don't eat sugar and you're eating a lot of fruit. You're like, you're fine. Mostly, yeah. But
yeah, you're fine.
salt is
Uh,
like,
but bread,
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I agree with you that bread
Yeah.
is another addiction.
Hmm. How does
How
one
does one
break that?
do that?
Just eat a lot of refreshing foods. I think you just like get addicted to the refreshments and fresh food, that feeling of like connection and just like that life force in yourself, I think that is also one addiction and it's a good one. So,
Yeah, I think one pay attention to how the body feels after
yeah.
eating bread. Like especially craving bread, I say go ahead and eat a lot of bread till you can eat no more. And then just feel how the body
Yeah.
feels after that. And lethargic, how your stomach might feel heavy, how it might take hours for you to feel hungry again or light again. And just allow yourself to feel what that food is actually doing to you. And sometimes that really helps me, to break food addictions, is just having a lot of it. And this is a trick used in neurolinguistic programming, NLP. They make chocolate addicts eat so much chocolate that they're sick of it. And then they program them to really understand that this is what chocolate does to you. Do you really want to have that? And that sickening
Mm.
feeling is then
Associate with
they,
it.
they
Yeah.
kind of anchor it with looking at chocolate. And so as soon as they look at a wrapper or opening of that aluminum foil or whatever,
Shit.
they get that sickening they feeling. So sometimes just overwhelming your senses with it to actually create an aversion also tends to work. I've seen it happen with people, and it happened to me spontaneously. I didn't go out to do it for myself, but it happened spontaneously once or twice to me, that I ate so much that it became an aversion, and I
Yeah.
don't want to look at it again.
For me, peanuts. I love peanuts. And then I was on like a fruit thing, and I was like super like, I want to eat this. And I ate a lot, and I was so sick. And after that, I'm scared of peanuts now. I'm like,
See?
oh, God.
So you're right.
Oh,
Okay, let's look at questions. Somebody said, can we eat fruits after sunsets like dinner? Then another person asked the same question. Is it okay to eat fruits post sunset? I've heard different things. I just want
yeah,
clarity. Can you
you can
answer that?
eat fruit whenever you want to eat it. I am a,
It's very interesting, Kartika. Nobody asks, can I eat pizza after sunset?
but this is the thing, you know.
The aloo after sunset? Can I eat cake after sunset? Nobody asks that. Can I eat chocolate? Can I have alcohol after sunset? No. What is this something special that
No,
fruit has
I
to
can
do
tell
with
you.
sunset?
I think it comes. First of all, I also want to say when people are eating all kinds of junk food and then they come and ask me, how do you get your vitamins, dude? On a fruit. Are you okay? You're looking healthy. I'm like, come on, dude. Like, I'm eating the healthiest food on the planet all the time. And you're like, are you okay? Are you like, doing okay in life? It's like you're eating all of that processed junk food and like all that sugar, like thinking, oh, I'm eating plant-based food, so I'm healthy. Like I was there as well, no judgments. Like everyone is on their journey and beautiful journey, but it's very exciting and it's funny actually.
You know, 25 years ago, I used to live and work in the US. And I never took any vitamins because, the tablets, because there's not a culture in India of taking vitamins. 25 years ago, it was unheard of in India, right? And I was a young person. And so this slightly older, maybe 5 years older lady who I used to often go to lunch with, and even though I was not vegan at that time, I didn't even know what vegan meant, but I was anyway prone to eating a lot of salad naturally. I would always look for salads and vegetarian soups, even though I was non-vegetarian. I didn't enjoy eating it every single day. So I was always looking for salads and veggie soups. So one day we were sitting at lunch together and she asked me, because she was having her, vitamin tablets, and I didn't understand Americans well enough to question them. So I just let them do what they were doing. And she would say, hey, which vitamins do you take? And I said, I don't take vitamins, the things. Where do you get your vitamins? So I looked at my plate and it was green and red and yellow. And I was like, don't you think they're there in food? Like food, my source of vitamins is food.
Yeah.
Ever thought about that? I was, though I was not a health coach, I knew nothing about it. But I knew that you get these things from food. As Indians, at least 25 years ago, we didn't have any concept of having to pop
You're right.
pills for vitamins or antioxidants or, things like that. So it
Yeah.
was like a culture shock for me, actually. They say culture shocks. Part of the culture shock for me that, I mean, they're eating brown and meat and they're saying, where do you get your vitamins? So, yeah, it's very interesting that people today will say, where do you get your protein and where do you get your healthy fats and where do you get this and that? And they're the ones, eating cooked food and having health issues. We need to
Yeah.
re-educate ourselves that all these new lingo that we have learned doesn't take away the fact that real food is real food, and that's the source of the nutrition that our body needs. And we need to actually stop thinking in terms of nutrition because it just breaks down food. Just think of food as food,
And
real
life
food.
course.
What's the food that I natural state without having to process it or season it or
Yeah.
um, murder
Yeah,
it,
and just in terms
eating
of
it or drowning it
yeah. Yeah. No, I'm saying in terms
Go
of
ahead.
life force that it gives you. Where is the life force? And because the body is just doing its thing, we cannot like cut and bifurcate everything and be like this and that and use everything in the mind. Body has its own intelligence, and it's like so much higher than what we know, and it's like trying to make our lungs breathe. No, it breathes itself. It heals itself. We just provide the environment. Yeah.
So, like being says, the craving of cooked food is coming from the need for natural sodium. What are your views on
Uh,
this?
it is coming definitely from what we are eating and not, meeting our requirements. So when our requirements are not met because we are not eating good food, if we eat all healthy foods, all fruits, then from childhood and all our requirements, body requirements are met through that, we would crave for sure. There is a huge, disbalance in our mental thoughts, in our emotional patterns because we eat all crap. It's like if we were living in the forest eating all good food, we would be happier. I'm not asking everyone to do that, but if we are like, if there was like a drought and there is like forest is burnt and then you're eating all of that burnt food, of course there's gonna be disbalance in the body and then you will have cravings and addictions and everything is disbalanced. So it's kind of like that only when there is war. And then we're eating grains at that time. That's like the security food. That's not the abundant food. And when we start eating foods that don't meet our nutritional needs and our body requirements, then we definitely crave for other kinds of food. So it's not just sodium, it's everything. If we're eating pizza, where is the vitamins coming from? so then we crave for more pizza because it's all confusion in the body. We're like emotionally parched.
Yeah.
Our nerves are stressed. Our body doesn't have hydration. So that is what happens. But we did answer the question that can we have fruit after sunset? I think the whole thing comes from the space where we are not meant to eat food after sunset, because if we were in nature
Okay.
mostly and we were not holding on to a lot of food, we would just sleep when the sun sets, and so we don't eat. But then people say that this is like cold food, it will not make you feel good, and it will make you sick and everything. So if you have to eat, I eat fruit after sunset, and it's probably also it energizes so much that you want to like cool down. And so I do intermittent fasting. If I eat fruit in the evening, I can't sleep too much because you have so much energy. So probably those are the reasons why people say. But if you have to eat, I would say don't eat too late in the night. Try to have some gap between your last meal and sleep. Sleep early, and yeah, eat fruit. Yeah,
And eat nothing after sunset. If fruit is
nothing
not
is
good
good
after
after
sunset,
sunset
then
for
nothing
sure.
is good
No,
after sunset.
I think
And if you're eating cooked food after sunset, you can most certainly eat fruit also after sunset. In fact,
yeah,
it's lighter. It's way digest faster, and your body doesn't have to expend a lot of energy to digest it. Your stomach will be lighter again. It'll be able to push it out of the stomach and into your intestines much faster. So you will go to bed on a lighter stomach. So I don't think there's any reason not to eat fruit after sunset if you are eating. If you are not eating
yeah,
after sunset, then don't eat
yeah,
anything. Like, for example, I don't enjoy eating anything after sunset. It's
yeah,
kind of automatic for me. And even when it's just fruit, when I'm eating all fruit also, only initially those days when I was still getting used to eating, um, just fruit all day long. I did that for 2 months. That time, initially, sometimes I would get hungry around 9 o'clock because I was not able to eat large quantities of fruit. But after the initial, let's say, 20 days or so, I was able to eat more quantities. So I had my last meal around 5 o'clock. And after that, I didn't feel like eating at all. And I didn't have any cravings and I felt totally satiated. That was actually, I don't know if you've noticed this, but when I eat cooked food or, altered food in some way, I get more cravings. I wake up hungry. But when I eat fruit, even if I've eaten it at 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening, I'm calm. I may be hungry and I can wait for food. But when I've eaten cooked food and then I wake up the next day, I'm hungry. I want, the same thing, more of the same thing. It's like a false hunger.
Craving.
I think it may be coming from
Yeah.
sugar levels being, messed up because of all this cooked food. Yeah, I've noticed this time and time again. And I can see that this is false hunger. This is not real hunger. Because the real hunger, which comes from eating a natural diet, which is fruit, is very calm, very peaceful. It can wait. It's just a feeling of emptiness. There is no the gnawing and the craving and the obsession and I gotta eat this, right now. There's none of that restlessness on fruit. So I have observed this pretty strongly. So I'm thinking that that whole addictive, hooking kind of nature that happens generally on unhealthy food is probably an extension of the same similar pattern, just more
Yeah, I would
intense.
agree with you. Yes, definitely. If you eat, only fruits, the cravings are so less, and it like just reduces and reduces and reduces. And now I don't see cooked
I
food as food
observe,
only.
yeah, you've stuck to it long enough. I went back to eating a bit of because
It,
of the I whatever. We give excuses, so my
but
excuse was
it's a
cold weather.
transitional journey,
So
Nandini, you know.
I'm transition journey. But when I was in the 2 months, I felt pretty strong mentally, and in fact, we went to one of my favorite places. I was hosting a meal for a friend of mine. I just organized it, and I didn't feel. She looked at me and she said, "Don't you feel like eating any of this?" I'd already been eating fruit for 15 days by then, and I told her amazingly, I don't even feel. Like they say सुई की नोक के बराबर भी जमीन देंगे राइट तो आई टोल्ड हर सुई की नोक के बराबर भी मुझे क्रेविंग नहीं है ये खाने की इन दिस
Yeah,
मोमेंट इन दैट मोमेंट you know and which was amazing for me. I didn't think that it would be like that. I thought I'd be feeling sorry for myself and give in or maybe taste something, but I was so happy eating. I had taken some custard apple or something, and I was so
yeah.
happy eating that. And now I think that I need to do this, longer term so that I can get to the place where
Mhm.
you are at, which is, for example, non-vegan food. Like you could put the most delicious pizza or rasmalai, which I used to love when not vegan. You could put that in front of me right now. I will not
Yeah,
even bat an eyelid. It's
yeah,
simply not food for me. It's like you might well have put a carcass of
yeah,
a calf in front of me because that's how I see it. I see it as some baby crying for its food. I don't see it as
yeah,
my food, So I want to be able
yeah.
to, that's my journey, to be able to get somewhere where it naturally is no longer food, which I understand intellectually right now, but my cravings are yet to catch on. My
Yes.
conditioning is yet
Yes,
to catch
and
on.
it took me some time as well. It's a very natural process. I think I started over 3.5 years before, and the first year I always kept going back to cooked food once in a while here and there. So it's natural. It's the way it's supposed to be. Yeah,
It's
because
part
if
of
we
the
have eaten in a certain way for so long, it will, and it's one of the most basic nature, like food, shelter, like being warm, and then sex. These are like the main desires that we have. And to food is like the most basic. We can't live without it. So if we have like a pattern, it's the hardest to get out from, and most very also like with respect to human awareness, it's not there yet, with that cooked food is not really food. So it's only natural, I would say. The
take time. sink in,
Yeah.
basically. It's taking its own time to sink in. Somebody is asking about green
Well,
juices.
they are
What's your opinion on
great.
green juices?
Fruit juices are the best, but if not fruit juices, people can have green juices for sure. They remineralize.
Yeah. It might help sodium cravings. If you're having sodium cravings, I think things like celery, spinach, some of these, with
Yeah,
cucumber and so on, and even tomato, having a
tomatoes
tomato
help a
smoothie
lot.
can help. Yeah.
Tomatoes help
Sorry,
a
what did you
lot.
say?
Yeah,
Tomatoes. Yeah, because they have sodium, they have
and
minerals in them,
besides,
so they can help a lot
tomatoes
with the
are
cravings
fruit,
as well.
and so is cucumber. Yeah,
Yeah, technically. So, what about
and
peppers? Are they fruit as well,
everything
the
that
red
has
and yellow
seed is
peppers?
a fruit. So if you want to only eat fruit and you want to have savory, you are a fruitarian if you're having peppers, and if you're having tomatoes and cucumbers.
Somebody is asking, what are the activities that can be done for getting out of pain? I'm not entirely sure what this question
Breathing
means, but
exercise,
maybe.
relaxing yourself is really, really helpful. And I think now you can get legal CBD also on
Yeah,
cbdstore.in, something like that in India. So that is also super good
yeah,
for healing.
yeah.
Hmm?
Uh, uh, it's an Ayurvedic
Yes.
approved
So
medication. Yeah. Somebody is asking, I started fruit diet and take cooked meal every day, but I feel so energetic. Should I skip cooked meal?
yeah,
Of course.
follow.
Can please cook meal. You have no idea what you will be unlocking for yourself and your health and your body. So yeah, if you can quit it and if it's
Yeah,
that easy, please
some
go
people
ahead
go
and
cold
do
turkey.
it.
I've heard they just like tomorrow onwards I'm a fruitarian, and then they're a fruitarian. I'm like, okay,
And then back,
yeah,
these people are.
yeah, powerful.
Yeah,
Yeah,
very, very. They're probably ready, at a consciousness level, they're ready. And someone just says that, and hey,
yeah.
it's
I
not a
think
problem for them. So actually, I know people who have done that since I hosted the fruit challenge. They're still on fruit
wow,
since 26 September.
amazing.
A couple of my clients. Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm so of them. I'm like telling them you should teach me instead of me teaching you. But I guess they were ready. They were just
Yeah,
ready.
and I think it's also like some
Yeah.
people are young, 19 years old, and then they start eating fruit, fruitarian, and then yeah. So then for them
I
it's
know.
like super easy.
I mean, yeah. Somebody is asking, Resham the Dori is asking, this may not be the correct forum, but do you have any suggestions for diabetics? This is totally the correct forum.
I would
Um,
go ahead.
Mostly, type 2 diabetes can be improved and even removed by eating fruit. But of course, everyone has to just check their levels and do this under somebody's guidance. If you're on insulin, then if your sugar levels drop, it can be a bit dangerous to be on insulin. So that's why it's very important that you do it under guidance of someone who can suggest to you about how often you need to check your levels and how you can cut your medications. And then there are some people whose sugars can spike initially by going on fruit, and then they can be guided to focus more on the non-sweet fruit. And if it goes, very high, like maybe more than 200, then they can do fasting. So there are protocols, there are people guiding specifically for diabetics. And I know of so many cases where people have come off their medications and are declared non-diabetic by going on high fruit, whole food, plant-based diet. Whole food plant-based means no oil and very little fat, almost no fat diet. even if you're having, let's say, a cooked meal, you're in transition, but you want to get off your diabetes medications, there are people who can quit their diabetes medication simply by being on whole foods, plant-based, meaning all wholesome food with the fiber intact, no oil, no sugar, no refined food like maida, white rice, and all that, and plenty of fresh, living, raw food in the form of salads and fruits. And there are people who have reversed diabetes with that too. And I know of many people who have reversed by being fruitarian. I know of many people who have reversed by being raw foodies. So this is totally the right forum. Not only diabetes, high blood pressure,
All
cholesterol.
diseases.
I have one client who reversed psoriasis. I have one client who's reversed her, who's
I
improved her
met
thyroid
somebody.
immensely. And I
I,
know of many people.
I met somebody who
Sorry.
has improved their vitiligo, and they are on the diet doing that.
Uh,
Can you imagine? And
by doing
yes, raw vegan,
that
raw vegan.
or
Yeah,
raw.
yeah.
Wow.
And I think
Yeah. I mean,
with
go ahead.
fasting also, like fasting incorporated along with it is important. And then Sharan is an organization which is doing it through plant-based diet. And diabetes doesn't happen because of fruit sugar, but it actually happens because of fat. And I can completely like tell you how, what happens in the body when, I don't know if today is the time, we've got already 9 o'clock, but we can have a session on which we can talk about how fat causes diabetes and it's not the sugar. So,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Sharan, and there's another one called
yeah.
Freedom from Diabetes. These two are Indian organizations that are, and Sharan has a program, online program for diabetes. In fact, I'm one
Oh,
of the
amazing.
speakers in that program. So you can it online and watch it because I used to work with them
Oh, wow.
6, 7 years ago. So I'm very familiar with the work. And so, yeah, they are doing specifically for diabetics, and they're in fact including cooked food. So you can try that out. And I think for even better results, you can incorporate a lot of raw food and a lot of fruit into your diet. And even Sharon recommends eating fruit, even if you're diabetic, because it's not the fruit that causes diabetes, it's not the fruit sugar, it's all the refined food without fiber and the fat that actually is the cause, and they explain it quite well. Somebody's saying, is being fruitarian or raw food really possible when we are parenting a
Wow, that's the
two-year-old
best thing
kid?
you could do to your old kid. You will be so relaxed and chill that the 2 year will be also full of energy. So, 100%, please do it.
Somebody's saying my addiction is gulab jamun.
No, I wouldn't say that. I don't want to say that. Eat a lot of it. No, you might fall sick. mm, I understand.
If you're craving anything sweet, what I have found is that you're
Exactly.
not eating enough fruit. If you were to, uh, have you ever tried ripe
Mhm.
persimmons? They are tastier than gulab jamuns. So, start your day with eating a lot of sweet fruit, eat nothing but fruit till 12 o'clock, snack on fruit if you're still eating cooked food, then in between your meals, whenever you're hungry, snack on fruit, and your sweet cravings will go
Agree.
away. And every once in a while, have some vegan gulab jamun during the transition phase. But eventually, if you go for like even 15 days without sugar and just eat a whole lot of fruit, on the 16th day, you may find the gulab jamun sickly
Yeah,
sweet.
yeah, exactly.
Try
I was
it.
going to say this. Basically, few things help a lot if people are trying to get rid of their cravings. Number one is taking up a challenge of a certain amount of days where you choose not to eat it, and in that time, make sure that you're eating 21 days is a very good time because in that time things shift. Making sure in that time you are like connected with the community which is helping you with accountability. A coach is amazing to have, if like they are keeping you on point with the accountability. So an environment with the community, with the coach around you, not keeping that food is super duper helpful. loving yourself a lot in the process. Like your mental, like we also say like about mental reprogramming that we need to do with respect to self love, releasing emotions that are kind of keeping you there. So all of these things are super duper helpful if you're trying to get away of any addiction, like alcohol also. So there was an experiment done in which rats were given cocaine in their water, and then they were moved to an environment which was full of lots of fun, lots of connection, and then the water was still had cocaine, and they stopped drinking that water. They refused to eat it, drink it, like even though it was there. So it's all the connection that we require, like fun and joy in life, that can really keep us off addictions. It's really that we're not living enough that causes us to not eat well, to be eating things and think that that will fulfill us, but actually we're just not fulfilling us with our lives, and that's why we get addicted. If we're every day going things that we love, if we have purposeful full life, we have great relationships, we will find the least amount of addictions in our life. So go exercise a lot. That is super amazing to do also, to get in the hormones out. And these are some simple ways in which we can stay de-addicted if we have, habits and routine.
Yeah. Spend,
Yeah,
spend time in
yeah,
nature, go hiking, dance with your children,
yeah.
kick ball around, take your dog for a walk, any of these. When addiction hits, and you might feel the good sensations from doing these activities, and just like those rats, you may not seek out, whatever has been the object of your addiction. So just to finish, Kartika, I was wondering if we can, if there are some closing thoughts on how someone who is struggling with food addictions can get help. Is there anything that you can offer them or share with them that can help someone who's right
So
now
are you
struggling with
saying
food
points, or
addiction?
are you saying like the programs that we offer? Yeah,
Uh, Either,
sure.
both
Awesome.
of
So as
those.
I shared
Mm-hmm.
already, like in the conclusion just now, only few things that really, really help with de-addicting ourselves is number one, having a community accountability partner, going with the challenge for like 21 days, changing your, you know, mental patterns in those 21 days as well as your eating patterns. So if 21 days is a time in which you can stick to something, it really helps. So changing your mindset and habit in 21 days, changing your gut microbiome in that 21 days is super duper helpful, along with having a lot of connection with community, with someone who's coaching you, keeping you accountable, is probably one of the best ways. And making sure that you're having a lot of fun in life is super duper good for de-addicting yourself from anything. And the core of it is, of course, releasing those emotions that are stuck in yourself. So fasting is a very amazing way, cleansing your colon with all of that things that are.
No, I
Come again.
yeah. Yeah. I posted
Okay,
that
okay, cool.
question by
Yeah, I was
mistake.
like, what is that? So basically, our gut microbiome is whatever it's made of, we crave for. So basically, you doing a juice fast, doing a fast really helps to flush out and change the gut microbiome, is a great way of getting de-addicted of certain kinds of foods that you're looking to have. And I offer a 21 days program that we convert into a 3 months program as well, a coaching in which you can get rid of your cravings, food addictions, reprogram your mind to eat really well, and the main part is lose weight and be re-energized, very healthy, with healthy cells, and cleanse your system with fasting if you are looking to do that. And yeah, if you want to be a part of that program, you can go to www.expandlove.online/full power and book a call with me, and we can do a free call and see if we are a good fit for each other for working. And probably Nandini would also give us a really great space where she coaches people to how to get de-addicted and be re-energized and healthy.
Yeah, regarding more information about the things that I offer, the support I offer, you can go to my link in bio and in my profile, and that will give you my cookbooks. It will give you 15 days free on a program that I run, and it will also give you a link to my YouTube channel on which many of the recordings of such sessions are posted for your support, and a free ebook that I have written. So you can go there and check that out. There's one question that I wanted to answer, which I flashed on the screen. It's the first time I've done something like this, so it's very interesting. The question is up there. Are fruit juices accepted while on fruit diet? Asked by Ankur Malika. So, it's a bit of a personal preference also, fruit juices. Some people prefer to have all the fruit with fiber. If you ask me, I have always start with the juice every morning. And these days I'm having citrus juices. And the kind of citrus juicer we have, it allows some fiber to go through. So I like starting with something very hydrating. In the summer, usually I eat watermelon. Sometimes I juice the whites of watermelon and have them instead of water because they are structured water from a fruit rather than from the tap. So I like to start my day with something very hydrating, either a hydrating fruit or a juice, but it depends on your personal preference. Some people who have very bad digestive issues like IBS or Crohn's or something like that, they often find that they cannot digest the fiber in raw food and even in fruit. So sometimes for them, it's recommended that if they're having a lot of difficulty dealing with the fiber in raw foods, then they can go into juicing first, because with juicing, some of that old toxic stuff that is agglomerated and dehydrated and stuck to their intestines and colons and different digestive parts, it can actually rehydrate and slowly come out of their body, and over time they may be able to tolerate fiber a little better. So it really depends on what your condition is. People who are diabetics would not be advised fruit juices, because it's very important that when you have fruit that it's intact with all the fiber, because that will slow the release of sugar into your bloodstream and will not make it spike. Your insulin will be able to work more effectively. There are some considerations about juices depending on your present health condition. So that would be my answer, Malika. But if you're completely healthy and you have no health conditions, then I see no reason why you can't include
Yeah.
juices if you feel like. Mm, and uh, there is one more question. Oh, it actually, when I flash it, it actually puts it in a separate
Oh,
thing called answered, which is very
we are
interesting.
learning.
Yeah,
Technological savvy.
had no idea. Time we're going to, I know. I it shows a new question, but I can't see any new questions. I think we are done. Any closing thoughts while we say goodbye? And thank you, everybody, for being here, for all your interaction, and for asking such good questions, and for all your comments and all the support. Many people have been saying, nice, I agree, Persimmons are awesome. Hi, Ekta. Nice to have you here. So thank you very much for being here. And, the addiction journey is a long process, and it's never really done because it can rear its ugly head anytime. So I think staying in touch with the community, following people who are doing what you would like to be able to do as a next step for yourself is always a good idea, because there's always people having conversations or sharing their own insights and how they've overcome their addictions. And all I would say is never ever give up. Never ever think that you can't. It might take you, it might take someone 3 weeks, it might take someone 3 months, it might take me 3 years, I don't know. But never give up. Anything that's worth doing is worth doing. Whether you do it badly or you do it well, it doesn't matter. Just keep at it. That's all I'd
Yeah,
like to say.
yeah, and support yourself in the process. Love yourself a lot, you know. Remember that food is a tool for your growth, and don't like put so much stress and attention on it. It's great, but it's something that really helps you feel great as well. So on the path of the food journey, on the path of your, you know, de-addictive journey, make sure that you're supporting yourself a lot. And as Nandini said, don't give up, keep going on. I think that's my you know, closing comment as well. If you do that, you will always reach your goal. So yeah, thank you so much everyone for watching and being here with us. I want to say thank you to Kalpi, and I want to say hello to Satish, my dear friend, and also thank you so much Dore and each one who's here watching the show. We love your energy and thank you for creating this community and making this happen for us and for yourself and for everyone. Thank you. Thank,
Thank you,
thank you,
Kartika.
Nandini.
Thank you for coming on the live with. Next week is our last concluding session for this time, and it's all about self love. And I'm going to be in Goa, in probably a place where I'll have no connection. And if that is the case, then Kartika is going to host that session. So be sure that you follow her and you remember next Thursday at 8 p.m. to go live with Kartika. In case you're only following me, then you can just make sure that in case you don't see me live, you can just go to Kartika's page and listen to her from there. All right. Thank you
Thank
very
you,
much,
Nandini.
everyone. I've tremendous in case I don't see you
Thank you
guys
so
next
much,
Thursday.
Nandini, for sharing your
All right.
platform. And I really hope that you can come here next time as well. But lots of love and gratitude for your time and energy today. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. We'll do
Yes,
more
100%.
together.
Yes.
All right. Bye bye.